At 3 in the morning, Marcus Henderson stood alone in his Manhattan penthouse, staring at the city lights below. The 29-year-old CEO of Henderson Tech should have been celebrating another successful quarter. But instead, he was drowning in secrets that threatened to destroy everything he had built. The golden boy of Silicon Valley East lived a perfectly crafted lie. Every public appearance with socialite Catherine Blackwood was theater. Every family dinner where his father, Richard Henderson, praised his traditional values was agony. Marcus was gay, and in his world, that truth could cost him a $500 million inheritance in the company that bore his name. 30 floors below, in the basement of Henderson Tech, Dylan Rodriguez wrung out his mop for the last time that night. The 32-year-old janitor moved with the precision of someone who once commanded respect in Stanford's engineering halls. His calloused hands had once designed algorithms for Google. Now they cleaned toilets to stay invisible, to protect the 5 Dominican children sleeping in a converted warehouse in Sunset Park, Brooklyn. Dylan's transformation from rising tech star to night shift custodian began the day Jake Martinez died. His partner of 6 years had been beaten to death outside a San Francisco bar by 3 men who couldn't stomach seeing 2 men hold hands. The medical bills, the legal fees, the devastating grief had stripped Dylan of everything except a promise made in a hospital room. Jake's last words echoed in his mind every night as he walked through the gleaming corridors of corporate America. Take care of the kids we plan to adopt. Give them the love this world tried to steal from us. Marcus had first noticed Dylan 3 weeks ago during a late-night security sweep. Something about the janitor's movements caught his attention. Dylan's eyes scanned electrical systems like he was reading blueprints. His toolkit contained precision instruments that cost more than his monthly salary. When Dylan accessed the server room and fixed a critical cooling failure in minutes, Marcus knew this man was hiding something significant. The pressure from the board of directors intensified daily. Quarterly profits were down, and whispers of replacing Marcus with his cousin, Bradley, grew louder. His father's voice echoed in executive meetings, questioning Marcus's leadership, his softness, his failure to make hard decisions when necessary. Marcus made a choice that would change 2 lives forever. He would follow Dylan Rodriguez. He would uncover whatever secrets the mysterious janitor was hiding. He would find his scapegoat and prove to his family that he possessed the ruthlessness required to lead Henderson Tech into the future. But some discoveries shatter the foundations of everything we believe about strength, success, and the courage required to live authentically in a world that demands we choose between love and survival. Don't forget to subscribe to Heart Stories for more life-changing tales that remind us what truly matters. The subway ride from Manhattan to Brooklyn gave Marcus time to question his decision. Disguised in dark jeans and a worn leather jacket, he felt exposed without his corporate armor. Dylan sat 3 rows ahead, his backpack heavy with mysterious contents, his expression guarded as the train rattled through tunnels that connected 2 different worlds. Sunset Park at 2 in the morning was a landscape Marcus had never seen. Graffitied warehouses stood like forgotten monuments to industrial dreams. Dylan's footsteps echoed on broken pavement as he approached a building marked Riverside Storage Company. The key he produced wasn't standard issue, but something crafted from metal scraps with engineering precision. Marcus pressed himself against a rusted dumpster, his heart hammering as warm light spilled from the opening door. What he witnessed through the cracked wood defied every assumption he had constructed about Dylan Rodriguez. The warehouse interior had been transformed into something impossible. Salvaged space heaters created a bubble of warmth around 5 small cots where children slept peacefully. Maria, 12 years old with fierce, protective eyes. Carlos, 10, clutching a teddy bear worn smooth by years of love. 8-year-old Sophia, whose immigration papers existed only in Dylan's desperate hopes. Miguel, 7, who spoke 3 languages but had never owned a new book. Isabella, 5, who believed in magic because Dylan made broken computers come alive in her small hands. Dylan knelt among dozens of discarded machines, laptops with cracked screens, tablets missing keys, gaming consoles declared worthless by their previous owners. His soldering iron glowed orange in the dim light as he breathed life back into technology that corporate America had deemed obsolete. Each repair meant money for food, for warm clothes, for the school supplies that kept these children invisible to authorities who might separate them forever. Marcus watched Dylan teach Carlos basic coding on a refurbished laptop, explaining algorithms with the same patience Jake had once shown him. The gentle way Dylan tucked Isabella back under her blanket when she stirred revealed a tenderness that Marcus had forgotten existed in the world. When an aluminum can crunched under Marcus's foot, the spell shattered. Dylan spun toward the sound, flashlight cutting through darkness to illuminate Marcus's shocked face. The recognition in Dylan's eyes shifted from alarm to something deeper. Disappointment that cut deeper than anger. The confrontation was quiet, mindful of sleeping children who had known too much disruption already. Dylan's voice carried steel wrapped in exhaustion when he asked why Marcus had followed him. The truth tumbled out in broken fragments. Suspicion, pressure from the board, the need for someone to blame when quarterly numbers disappointed investors who had never known hunger. Dylan's response carved itself into Marcus's memory. He spoke of Jake's death, of hate that killed love, of living in shadows to protect innocence. He explained how a Stanford computer science degree became worthless when your sexuality made you unemployable, when background checks revealed a dead partner in suspicious circumstances that bigoted hiring managers couldn't overlook. Marcus felt something crack open in his chest as Dylan described their daily reality. The children were undocumented except for Maria. Social services would separate them if they discovered this makeshift family. The warehouse lease would expire in 2 months, and gentrification was pricing them out of every neighborhood where they might find refuge. As dawn approached, Marcus found himself helping Dylan organize donated electronics. Their hands brushed while sorting circuit boards, and electric awareness passed between them. Marcus recognized the loneliness in Dylan's eyes because it mirrored his own. Two men hiding their truth for different reasons, but paying the same price in isolation and fear. The morning light revealed bruises on Carlos's arm from foster care before Dylan rescued him. Sophia's nightmares about deportation, Miguel's hunger that no amount of love could fill when food stamps ran out before month's end, Isabella's trust that Uncle Dylan would always fix whatever was broken, even when Dylan himself felt shattered beyond repair. Marcus left the warehouse understanding that strength wasn't about corporate dominance or family approval. Real courage meant choosing love over safety, authenticity over acceptance, and protecting what matters most, even when the cost seems unbearable. The cyber attack struck Henderson Tech like digital lightning on a Tuesday morning that would redefine everything Marcus thought he knew about loyalty and betrayal. Banking systems crashed across 3 time zones. Customer data hemorrhaged into the dark web. Stock prices plummeted as news outlets screamed headlines about corporate negligence and security failures that threatened millions of users. Marcus stood in the emergency command center, watching his life's work dissolve in real time. The IT team, led by Oliver Mitchell, scrambled through protocols that proved useless against an attack this sophisticated. Oliver's thin frame bent over multiple monitors, his usually slicked hair disheveled with panic, his expensive watch catching fluorescent light as he typed commands that accomplished nothing. Richard Henderson burst into the room like an avalanche of fury and disappointment. The 60-year-old patriarch of Henderson Tech had built his empire on conservative values and traditional leadership. His gray eyes, so similar to Marcus's own, blazed with the kind of rage that could destroy careers and disown sons without hesitation. The board meeting that followed felt like a public execution. Cousin Bradley sat at the far end of the mahogany table, his smirk barely concealed as shareholders demanded explanations that Marcus couldn't provide. The attack had bypassed every security measure, exploited vulnerabilities that shouldn't have existed, and demonstrated a level of inside knowledge that suggested betrayal from within. Marcus made a choice that terrified him. He found Dylan during the night shift, their conversation hushed in the abandoned break room where surveillance cameras had blind spots. Dylan's eyes widened when Marcus revealed his knowledge about Stanford, about the engineering background, about the skills that could save Henderson Tech from complete collapse. Working together through the night, they traced the attack's origin. Dylan's fingers flew across keyboards with the confidence of someone who had once designed these systems. His expertise in cybersecurity, dormant since Jake's death, awakened as he followed digital breadcrumbs through proxy servers and encrypted channels. The breakthrough came at 4 in the morning when Dylan's code isolated the attack vector. The breach hadn't come from outside hackers, but from someone with administrative access, someone who knew the system's architecture intimately, someone who had been planning this destruction for months while maintaining the facade of corporate loyalty. Marcus felt dizzy as the truth emerged. Oliver Mitchell had been selling Henderson Tech secrets to their primary competitor, Zenith Corporation. The cyber attack was designed to create chaos, to destroy confidence, to force a sale that would benefit Oliver's new employer while devastating everyone who had trusted him. As they worked side by side, sharing coffee and quiet conversations about code architecture, Marcus found himself studying Dylan's profile in the blue glow of computer screens. The way Dylan's brow furrowed in concentration, the gentle strength in his hands as they rebuilt security protocols that Oliver had deliberately weakened. The trust in Dylan's eyes when he looked at Marcus and saw partnership instead of exploitation. The moment hung between them like suspended time when their faces drew close over a shared keyboard. Marcus could smell Dylan's soap, could count the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, could imagine what it might feel like to bridge the gap between loneliness and connection. Dylan's breath caught as Marcus leaned closer, and for one perfect second, the world narrowed to just this possibility. Oliver's voice shattered the intimacy as he entered the break room, his expression cycling through surprise, calculation, and something darker. Marcus pulled away from Dylan, professional distance snapping back into place, but Oliver's pale blue eyes had seen enough. The thin smile that spread across his face promised consequences that neither Marcus nor Dylan could imagine. The foundation had been laid for a destruction that would make the cyber attack seem gentle. Oliver had found the weapon that could destroy 2 lives with surgical precision, and he had no intention of showing mercy to men whose love threatened his carefully constructed plans for revenge and corporate ascension. Oliver Mitchell's revenge unfolded with the precision of a master chess player who had been planning this endgame for years. The rejected advances Dylan had rebuffed during their brief overlap at a previous company had festered into obsession, then hatred, finally crystallizing into a plan that would destroy 2 lives while elevating Oliver to the power he believed he deserved. The edited security footage appeared professionally crafted, each clip carefully selected to tell a story of betrayal and sabotage. Marcus watched in horror as the board of directors reviewed video that showed Dylan accessing restricted servers during the exact time frames when the cyber attack had penetrated their defenses. Oliver's narration painted Dylan as a master manipulator who had used his janitor position to steal corporate secrets and orchestrate the devastating breach. The evidence seemed overwhelming until Marcus noticed inconsistencies that his training and data analysis couldn't ignore. Timestamps that jumped unexpectedly, camera angles that suggested missing context. The way Dylan's movements in the footage seemed reactive rather than predatory, as if he had been responding to problems rather than creating them. But Oliver's masterstroke had nothing to do with corporate espionage. The real weapon was personal, intimate, and designed to destroy both Marcus and Dylan through the exposure of their deepest vulnerabilities. The video hit gossip blogs on a Thursday afternoon when Marcus was presenting quarterly recovery projections to nervous investors. His phone buzzed with notifications that sent ice through his veins. The footage was grainy but unmistakable. Marcus and Dylan in the break room, their faces inches apart, the unmistakable electricity of attraction crackling between 2 men who had found connection in the midst of crisis. The headlines wrote themselves with the cruelty of a society that still weaponized love against those who dared to live authentically. Gay CEO scandal rocks tech giant, Henderson heirs secret life exposed. Homeless children said as cover for corporate conspiracy. Richard Henderson's phone call came within minutes of the video's release. His voice carried the coldness that Marcus had feared since childhood, the tone that could sever family bonds with surgical precision. The words cut deeper than any financial loss. No son of mine, family name disgraced. Choose between that man and everything you've ever known. Dylan's arrest happened simultaneously as Child Protective Services descended on the Sunset Park warehouse with the efficiency of a military operation. Anonymous tips had suggested child endangerment, unstable living conditions, and the presence of an unfit guardian whose lifestyle posed risks to vulnerable minors. Marcus watched from his penthouse as news vans surrounded Henderson Tech's headquarters. Protesters gathered with signs demanding his resignation. Investors pulled funding with the speed of people fleeing a burning building. The company his grandfather had founded, that his father had expanded, that Marcus had modernized, crumbled under the weight of prejudice disguised as moral concern. Dylan sat in a holding cell in downtown Brooklyn, separated from the 5 children who had become his entire world. Maria's tears as social workers separated the siblings haunted his dreams. Carlos's confusion when strangers explained that Uncle Dylan wouldn't be coming home. Sophia's terror that deportation would follow separation. Miguel's silence that spoke volumes about abandonment. Isabella's broken whisper asking if she had done something wrong. Oliver's promotion to interim CEO was announced that evening as Henderson Tech's stock price fell to historic lows. His acceptance speech emphasized traditional values, corporate responsibility, and the importance of leadership that prioritized shareholder interests over personal agendas. Marcus stood on his penthouse balcony, 30 stories above the city that had once seemed like his kingdom. The wind whipped through his hair as he contemplated how quickly success could transform into ashes. Everything he had built, everything he had sacrificed, had been destroyed by love and the courage to feel something real in a world that demanded emotional dishonesty. The darkness below seemed to whisper promises of escape from pain, from shame, from the weight of choosing between authenticity and survival. The choice that had once seemed impossible now appeared simply as gravity and the end of fighting against forces too powerful to resist. Sometimes the deepest valleys in life prepare us for mountains we never imagined we could climb, but only if we find the strength to survive the descent into what feels like bottomless night. Maria Martinez knocked on Marcus's penthouse door at dawn, her 12-year-old face streaked with tears but blazing with determination that reminded Marcus of Dylan's fierce protectiveness. She had escaped from the group home in Queens. Traveling alone through subway systems she had memorized during late-night trips with Dylan to find computer parts in Manhattan dumpsters. Her words cut through Marcus's despair with the clarity of someone who had seen real courage in action. Dylan taught us that love isn't wrong. He said hiding who you are makes the bad people win. You love him, right? Then why are you letting them destroy him while you hide up here, feeling sorry for yourself? The investigation that followed required every skill Marcus had developed during his years building Henderson Tech. Working with investigative journalist Sophia Chen, whose own experience as a closeted lesbian in corporate media gave her insight into systematic discrimination. Marcus traced Oliver's communications with Zenith Corporation. Bank transfers revealed months of payment for stolen intellectual property. Email threads exposed the careful planning behind both the cyber attack and the character assassination. The evidence painted a picture of corporate espionage wrapped in homophobic revenge. Oliver had been selling Henderson Tech's proprietary algorithms to their primary competitor, while simultaneously gathering ammunition to destroy the 2 men who threatened his vision of traditional corporate power structure. The press conference Marcus called for the following Tuesday drew media attention that rivaled presidential announcements. Standing behind a podium in the same conference room where his father had disowned him, Marcus faced cameras and reporters with a calm that surprised him. The words he had rehearsed for years in private moments of imagined courage finally found their voice. He spoke about love without shame, about Dylan Rodriguez's brilliance and integrity, about 5 children who deserve protection rather than persecution. He presented forensic evidence of Oliver's crimes with the precision of someone who understood that truth required proof in a world determined to believe convenient lies. The response was swift and transformative. The LGBTQ+ community rallied behind Henderson Tech with purchasing power that surprised cynical board members. Young professionals announced their intention to seek employment with companies that supported authentic leadership. Stock prices climbed as investors recognized that diversity drove innovation and that Marcus's courage had created opportunities rather than liabilities. Oliver's arrest happened that evening as federal agents presented warrants for corporate espionage, fraud, and conspiracy charges that would ensure decades behind bars. His pale face reflected the disbelief of someone who had underestimated the power of truth when it finally finds courage. Dylan's release from custody coincided with the children's return from foster care. The reunion in the courthouse hallway brought tears to reporters who had come expecting another corporate scandal, but found instead a story of family defined by love rather than biology. The warehouse in Sunset Park was transformed into the Jake Rodriguez LGBTQ+ Youth Tech Center, funded by Henderson Tech's charitable foundation and designed with input from the 5 children who understood better than anyone what vulnerable kids needed to thrive. Maria's suggestions for secure sleeping areas. Carlos's ideas for gaming zones that doubled as coding classrooms. Sophia's insistence on art spaces where creativity could flourish. Miguel's quiet request for a library where words could provide escape and education. Isabella's demand for a stage where stories could be shared and dreams could find voice. The wedding ceremony in Central Park drew hundreds of supporters and a handful of family members whose love proved stronger than prejudice. Richard Henderson's surprise appearance at the reception shocked Marcus into silence until his father's gruff voice broke the tension. "I was wrong. Family is family. Your mother would have wanted me here." Marcus and Dylan exchanged vows surrounded by 5 children who served as wedding party, ring bearers, and living proof that families form through love rather than genetics. The legal adoption papers were signed that same day, making official what had been true in hearts for years. 1 year later, in their Brooklyn brownstone that buzzed with homework sessions, coding competitions, and the chaos of 5 brilliant children pursuing dreams that had once seemed impossible. Marcus and Dylan shared evening coffee while Isabella demanded the story of how her 2 dads had met. They had learned that authentic love requires courage that extends beyond personal happiness to protecting others who deserve the same freedom to live without fear. Sometimes the greatest risk is not the one that destroys us, but the one that reveals who we were always meant to become. What would you risk to live authentically and protect those you love? Share your thoughts below and subscribe to Heart Stories for more tales that celebrate the triumph of love over